For competitive reasons, one opposes or separates musicianship from technique in a vain attempt of the objectivity versus subjectivity, thus throwing young generation of performers in an ironic ditch, idealizing musicianship and at the same time needing competitivity just because of the sheer numbers of the ones who are called and the very few who go through. The individuality of the personal instinct of musicianship, crafted with knowledge, education, culture, awareness, style, form, acquired taste, is what a ripe fruit in music is. It doesn't lose its drive, it only gains an aura, which with age is drawn within experience. The boldness of rethinking the status quo, the fact of wanting to measure oneself with the great predecessors or the great present ones, is possibly a drive between admiration and self-proof of one's worth, defined by judges, and humans are only humans. Education is to learn more about what you already know instinctively, not to replace the purpose for which you feel you have a calling in any aspect of life's endeavors. Unfortunately, the system is based for performing musicians through competitions in order to be possibly heard. If not, one remains in the anonymous mass. By itself, it's fine because each for their own. It's a self-improvement towards the muse we want to serve with the means we were given at birth and the improvement we do on a perfect pitch or not, on a easy technique coming or not, effort being not synonymous of virtue, but of progression. Effortlessness seems unfair, depending on which point of view one places oneself. But ultimately, the performance in music is not based on its gestation time. If it took you a lifetime, 3 years, 3 months, or 3 minutes to almost become the work like a sponge and become believable, become the person who brings you closest to what you want to hear in a work. That's how the music lovers choose whom they like to listen for specific repertoires when they have the opportunity to compare and contrast. Of course, the dead pianist recordings accumulate through generations past. The present performances, competitive performances, lose a lot of their individual originality, even if they were not to be in the first place such, because of the value of a likeness in order to be eligible to be chosen and not to stick out by being, I don't know, original for the sake of it or exotic for the sake of it, unless you already have a name for yourself and then you're called Glenn Gould or Richter. But they don't compete in the field where the young people do. And if the young people are given this terrible, disturbing duality that is really a schism, a divide between musical and technical, between interpretation with a point of view and orderless interpretation that will pass the litmus test of a group of judges whose individual inevitably built by their own predecessors as well, who taught them, and their own experience, of course, criterias might reject somebody who plays not like they expect it to be, or they wished it to be, or they could have played it, or wished to play it, or played it, as if there is one way that is right for each of them compared to all the others, even if they agree to disagree, but in a vote somebody prevails in terms of the results and others don't. And when you're on the side of the teacher, you're there to construct, to build, to organize, to give tools, to give reliability to the young artists to express their own musical world. But if you erase it in order to make sure they pass the competition's thresholds, and that is not a guarantee either, then they are a little bit, if not very much, disrupted by the fact of being given mixed message. Be yourself, follow your drive, you started since a child, continue growing. And then when you have to go through competition auditions, evaluations by peers and elders, the brutal situation adds the beautiful drive to the ugly reality of the fact that there is no objectivity. It's only a bunch of subjectivities who vote somebody who's supposed to be the consensus by essence of this vote. And then if this person is then thrown in a circuit to perform in front of audiences who are not judges, who want to be told storytellings by artists who are inspired, who have something to give generously without fearing the judgment of it's too fast, it's too slow, it's too rubato, not enough, they don't know what they do, it's not supposed to be like that, and all kinds of things that most teachers usually say, then eventually these people are orderless to the audience because that's how they were to get to them through the competition. So it's a system that, in fact, in a way, sidelines the musical originality of the sincere, honest, possibly mistaken, but life is long to correct it, if not to explore differently, and therefore to never freeze in one interpretation as a standard because of editions, because of scholars, because of articles, because of recorded performances. some standards seem to be set before they even attempt them. And so when they return from the competition, having not won, regardless if they played their best or they didn't manage to play as well as they wished, human psyche being what it is, we organize, we plan, we practice, we rehearse, we attempt, and then the unexpected happens on stage, sometimes uplifting, sometimes not. But in this realm of highly calibrated competitors, little is left to a spontaneity, personal statement, originality, point of view. Not because it's willingly erased, perhaps it wasn't there in the first place that much more than that, and it was formatted by teachers and competitors, peers who tell them this is what you're supposed to do in order to go through. I find it very important to remotivate the students who return from a competition they didn't win. As I said earlier, regardless how they presented at it, it's almost worse if they did great, because then they're really discouraged. And if they didn't do as well as they thought, they're almost self-encouraged to try again till the deadline of the 30s of age, after which life kicks in beyond the lottery of life, that competitions mirror a success that shortcuts developing a career. Mostly, as I said earlier, because there are too many for not enough spots. And the definition of who is to merit the spots remains extremely subjective. So inevitably people disagree, people criticize, people appear jealous, people appear after competitions without success, bittered. Perhaps the system is creating this psychological side effect of this competitive drive, which originally is there to bring the best of oneself, motivational as it is. But after that, you have to remotivate yourself about the purpose, the meaning, the organization of your service to the muse, solo, chamber, orchestra, accompaniment, teaching, combination of all, conducting, composing, transcribing, directing, advising, and so much more. But if essentially you're driven by playing and you don't have an outlet where to play because you didn't go through the filter of these competitions who were supposed to reveal you to the world that supposedly knows what matters, then you feel you don't. And then you feel like, oh, I played too musical, I didn't play technically enough clean. As if by itself it's a definition, though there is no artistry without technique necessarily, and there is no musicality through technique only. It's a means to an end. And what is the end? It's one's life in music. Very often one starts too early to be aware of it in the early childhood. And then one carries it to please between parents, teachers, organizations, systems, people, sponsors, family, in general, entourage. But ultimately one remains cruelly alone in front of the mirror about where am I standing, what have I achieved, and what's the purpose of it. It has to make sense. If you can serve meaningfully a masterpiece of music by always discovering more levels of depth in it, then it's rewarding for a lifelong artistic being, performing, teaching, combining. But if not, one can feel one's wings a bit tired after trying so intensely through the years between youth and 30 to make one's musical statement through the performance of pieces that others did and that others composed for most of the case, your own language, your own expression, your own individual input into universal repertoires. Or as a teacher, I'm here to encourage and to help, to organize, to prioritize, to always find the short-term progress in practicing that allows self-esteem build up, confidence on stage when stage fright or unexpected or both happen. You don't replace the musical drive with experience. It's not exactly a quid pro quo, but there is an element which brings you closer to what you would like to, if not control, at least appear to be able to enjoy doing, while apparently you're not controlling. It just happens either by muscular memory, either by practicing, either by experience of performing it. Between the right fingering, right phrasing, right pedaling, adapting to the acoustic, to the keyboard action, to the heaviness or lightness of the action according to how you feel it, how you control the dynamic ranges, how you control the pedaling, the voicing, the legato, the finger legato, the pedal legato, the substitutions compared to the tempo, the pulse, the articulation, the phrasing, the direction of the line, the arching of the phrase, the statement, the meaning, the breathing, the rhythm, the pulse, life. What an endeavor. Thank you.